Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making homemade berry jam, and we are then going to be preserving the jam in our cans. And so what you're going to need for this recipe, I'm going to be making two different types of jam, but essentially each of my pots here have 8 cups of berries. I'm using frozen berries personally, but you can use fresh as well. So you'll want to measure up 8 cups of whatever berry you would like to preserve. Next up, I already pre-measured a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and I zested 2 lemons, and I have made 2 batches here, which are going to go in each of the larger pots. And then we're going to add in 3 cups of sugar in each pot as well. So right now I'm just steaming up these cans. They're about ready to be taken out, so I'm just going to be moving them over on my linen on top of my microwave oven. It's not a microwave oven. What is this called? Toaster oven. So I'm going to be placing my jars here until they're ready to be utilized. Okay, so I've now removed the jars from the hot boiling water and I've laid them out on the counter, and I have the lids on a clean sheet or cloth. And now my berries look like they've finally thawed out. And so I'm going to remove them from the heat, and I'm just going to transfer them into the blender. That way they can all kind of blend. I tried using a potato masher, but it's not thin enough, and so the blueberries aren't mashing, they're kind of just holding their shape. And so I think it would be wise to just blend it up quickly in the blender. Okay, so I have my Vitamix here, and I'm just going to pour everything inside the blender very cautiously, hopefully no big splats. Okay, great. I'm just going to blend it on low. Okay, so now that our berries are nicely pureed and in a chunky but smooth texture, you can blend it for longer if you want it to be absolutely smooth, but I do enjoy a little bit of a chunky jam. And so now I'm just going to turn on the heat to a high heat because we want it to come to a boil before we lower the temperature to simmer. And now I'm going to be adding my 1/4 cup of lemon juice as well as the lemon zest. Both are in here. So I'm going to do that for both of the jams. And I'm also going to be measuring 3 cups of sugar. And so I have my measuring cup here. Now, this may seem like quite a lot, but it's actually not, considering other jams that you may buy in the store, or even other at-home jam recipes. So each of these should yield about 4. I'm using, these are 250 milliliter jars, so I should be able to fill approximately 4 jars of each jam. That's my aim. So you just want to combine all the ingredients. And because we're working with berries, if you don't have an apron, just be mindful to not splatter or move your jam too quickly, because it will splatter splatter and leave a stain. Okay, so that seems pretty well combined. I'm going to do the blueberry jam next, and I'm going to measure 3 more cups. So while these are sitting, now I think we're almost at a boil. I'm going to let it climb up to boil, and then I'm just going to drop the heat to medium heat for about 20 minutes, checking up on the consistency with my spoon technique. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So my hot water is at a low medium until it's going to be ready to be canned, and then I'm going to crank the heat up to a roaring boil. But for now, let's just hold off until our berries are a little bit closer to being done. To give you guys a quick look at the consistency we have. So it's actually quite liquidy. I think this is a combination of having frozen fruit and the type of fruit that it is. They do hold quite a lot of liquid, but that's okay. It'll still work out. The blueberries. Okay, so both of our jams are at a roaring boil. So we're going to lower the temp to about a medium low, depending on your stove. And we're going to simmer for 20 minutes. So I'm just going to set my timer, start. Okay, so with the spoon that you placed in the freezer, we're going to be doing a sheeting test method to see if our jam has set. Now, I still have a little bit of time left on my timer, and I'm hoping that it's not exactly set, just to give you guys a perspective of what it looks like when it's not entirely set yet. And so you're just going to dip your spoon inside, and you're going to let it run. And you see how liquid it's still falling? That's looking a little bit better as it densifies. But what you're looking for is more of a gloopy consistency, not so much individual drop. Okay, so our final test, you guys. That looks great. See how thick that's coming off? Okay, so now that our jam is ready to be poured into the jars, I'm going to be using my funnel to measure a 1/4 inch from the top to fill up the jam, leaving a 1/4 inch gap at the top. And then I'm going to do that with all of the jars, and then we're going to seal them with the lids, and we're going to place them in our hot boiling water. So I've cranked up the heat on our water here, so it should be at a roaring boil and ready for us to can. All right, we're at the final step. So all the lids are on, screwed on tight. I cleaned the edges just with water to prevent any messes on the sides. And now I put this on high, so it's at a roaring boil. We're going to set our timer for 10 minutes once they're inside of the pot. I'm not sure if I'm going to have room for every one of them at once, so I might have to do 2 rounds. But it's going to be boiling in for 10 minutes, and then it's going to lower the temp for another 5. and then I'm going to crank it up and do that again if I have to do 2 batches. So that's what's happening now. Okay, so there you have it. Our jams are all set. Just waiting to hear the final pop. So something that I want to note for you guys is that when you are done pressurizing your cans or hot water boiling your cans and you take them out, you should hear a pop. And that pop basically signifies that your jar is properly sealed. Very, very important. And so tomorrow I'm going to do a jar test with you guys, just so you can have a deeper understanding and awareness of what to look for and to make sure that your jars are properly sealed, because the last thing we want is all this work to go down the drain and having food spoil too early. But quickly, the pop is one thing, and if you were to bring your eye down at eye level, it should be concaved. So that's a really great note as well. And so these are going to hang out here for about 24 hours before I do the test, the seal test. And so stay tuned for that. Hey guys, so it's been a few days now since my jam has been ready. I wanted to go over what to check to make sure that your jars have properly sealed. And so the following day after you've canned and processed your food, you want to remove the seal. And there's a few ways to do this, so I'm just going to walk you through. So you want to observe all the edges of your lid to make sure that there's no food on the edges that has maybe like seeped out. This is just to prevent any bacteria from forming and leaks and things like that. So you want to make sure that it's clean all the way around. The next thing is to look at it on and you want to lower your eye line to meet the eye line of the jar, so you can look and see that it's concaved. So this is one sign that it's properly sealed. Another test that you can do is push on the lid, and if you don't get any pushback or sound, like if it'll pop or anything like that, then it's not sealed properly. So you don't want to get any pushback. So this is sealed correctly. Another thing that you can do is lightly pull on the lid upwards. Mine's not giving at all, to see if it's maybe got some air bubbles or anything. And yeah, that's pretty much the 3 that I know of. If you know any other ways of checking to see if your lids have properly sealed, then you can maybe add them in the comment section below to kind of help everybody out. But yeah, so you can leave and store your jars like this without the ring. Some people prefer doing that because it makes it more obvious if your lid actually unseals throughout your throughout the winter, or whenever you've processed, like whenever you're using your food, to make sure that it's always sealed. So you can remove that. I'm most likely going to keep it on just as a preference. And so now we've got some homemade jam. This one was cherry and mixed berries. I made a few other additional jams after I shot this video. And today I'm actually processing some tomatoes. You can see them here. So I'm going to be making some tomato sauce for the year. And so stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be doing some more canning in the future. Have a good one, guys. Bye.